It's day 3 of Tools of the Trade, and today we're going to be talking about items for cutting. I'm going to be focusing on cutting fabric, and I'm also not just going to be talking about the items that I use to actually cut, but all the things that I use in the process. There are 2 tools that I use. The first are scissors, and you're going to want to have scissors dedicated to paper and fabric, or other things and fabric. You definitely want scissors that are dedicated to just fabric. These are Fisker's brand, meant for fabric, purchased at Joann. And I'm actually super excited because I just got these. I got myself some Gingers. Ginger is kind of known for the king of fabric scissors, sorry, and they're very expensive. They're like $60 full price at Joann, but wait for them 60% off coupons and you can get yourself a pair of really sick scissors for a really good price. So scissors is the first one I use, and I honestly actually don't use scissors very much. I'll use it for little things. When I'm cutting out something big like a pattern, my go-to tool is the rotary tool. I love rotary blades. I cut almost everything out with a rotary blade, which is why I have my cutting mat right here that I mentioned in the last video. And rotary blades are just kind of always how I've done it. A lot of people have been like, you cut out your patterns with rotary blades? Are you crazy? And I'm like, but I use rotary blades for almost everything. One criticism of rotary blades is lack of control, and that's fair. I mean, it is a circle, you can only do so much control, but if you want more control in a rotary blade, you can buy tiny ones. So here are the 2 sizes that I have, a tiny one and a big one, and I use the tiny one if I need to be a little more detailed. And then of course, if it's super detailed, I'll often skip over a section with the rotary blade and go back over it with some scissors. These rotary blades come with, well, they don't come with, but you can buy packs of extra blades so you can swap them out when they become dull, and I love them. So the reason we're at this weird angle in the video is so that I can show you how I cut things. Because one of the things I want to focus on is how I cut out patterns. And one of the biggest problems with patterns is, getting them to stay on your fabric. A lot of people pin their fabrics down, and I do that too for really slippery or difficult fabrics, but this is the method I primarily use now. You can buy at Joann something called pattern weights. And they're essentially just little weights that you're supposed to put on top of patterns. I thought it was silly to spend that much money on just a weight. So I actually went to the hardware store and bought these industrial-sized washers that I use as pattern weights, and they were like 30 cents each as opposed to $5 each at Joann or something crazy. And I just placed them on my pattern like so. So now I'm going to move so that I can more cut this out, or pretend to. And then I would take my rotary tool, and it's got a guard on the blade, so that outer green piece, it's kind of blown out, but it's green, and it'll slide up and down to protect you. So when it's like this, can't cut you. When it's like this, be very careful. These rotary blades are incredibly sharp. And I would just start on the edge of the pattern, work my way across, go up, go across, down, around, down, and done. Not having to pick it up. If you're going to use a rotary blade, you have to have a mat like this. These are called self-healing mats, meaning if the blade cuts it or damages it, it will actually repair itself. I have used a friend's mat before. It's never happened with mine, but I cut entirely through her mat. Totally through. I could look through the slit I had made, and the mat healed itself. It knit itself back together. It's the trippiest thing. But you have to have one of these self-healing mats if you're going to use a rotary tool. Do not use a straight edge on these mats. They're not that good at healing themselves. Something else I want to point out is that you'll see that I have totally cut out the pattern piece. A lot of people will cut out the general shape of their pattern paper and then will actually cut along the lines while they are cutting the fabric. The reason why I don't do this is because I use a rotary blade. Ooh, let's christen my Gingers. So I'm gonna open these up. You know it's fancy if it comes with like a sleeve. So, if you cut out your patterns with paper, a lot of people will pin the pattern. Well, that's so blown out, you can't even tell what's going on, can you? Should have used a darker fabric. But let me get in close. And while you're cutting, you just bust a move right through that pattern paper. Couple reasons I don't do this. One, again, I don't use scissors very much. Two, I'm worried that the pattern paper might actually be damaging my scissors. It's very fibrous and fabric-like, but it is not fabric. So maybe I shouldn't have christened my gingers on this. Oh well. But I use a rotary blade, and here's why I cut out my fabric or my pattern pieces before using the rotary blade. Let me bring you in closer. Let's try this. So if I just try cutting it, there you go, you can see it better there. It like picks up and warps and distorts the pattern paper. And then my cut, which was supposed to be a straight line, is now a curved line. So that's one of the reasons I always cut out my patterns totally, so that I can just run my rotary blades along the edges of a pattern, is so that I don't have to worry about that warping or distressing of the pattern piece. So that's just a tip if you decide to use rotary blades. You're going to want to completely cut out your pattern pieces along the cutting lines before you cut it out with your rotary blade. So that's it. I hope you found that helpful. I love using my rotary tools, and it's awesome to have a reliable pair of fabric scissors around. But just be careful that whatever you're using is sharp and that you practice proper safety procedures, because a dull blade is going to make your life a nightmare because it's going to ruin your fabric as you try to cut it, and sharp scissors could end your life if you're really clumsy, which I am. So, on that note, happy crafting!